tomorrow on the Big Ten Network. Stan every Wednesday does a show Inside the Game on BTN with Spice Adams, Jay Lehman, and our next guest, Dave Wannstedt, former NFL, former college football head coach, and extraordinaire analyst for both Fox and the Big Ten Network. He joins us right now.
Matt, the job is so difficult keeping these dudes on task. It's unbelievable. I mean, it is a zoo.
It sounds like a fun show. Do you enjoy doing it, Coach Wannstedt?
I do. And, and now that Stan's like semi-host as well as, he's kind of the guy in charge now. So he's put a whole different light on it. I got to watch what I say,
All right. Well, I'll give you a clue about something Stan just told me he's going to bring up tomorrow. And that is we're getting ready here in Columbus, excited for a big game with Ohio State playing TCU. Stan sees no benefit in scheduling these major non-conference games because if you lose it, it can, like Ohio State lost last year to Oklahoma, it gave them no margin for error. They lost to Iowa. They didn't get into the playoffs. If you win it, obviously it helps, but there's more to lose than there is to gain from it. How do you feel about these big non-conference games? Because I love them. Stan thinks the committee has told us that they really don't matter as long as you win your league.
Well, I think they do matter, but – and I'm for them, but I'm kind of the belief that everybody should be playing the same amount of Power 5 games, okay? Now, Ohio State's playing TCU. TCU could win the Big 12 this year. I mean, they're a lot better football team than what probably anybody in Columbus or the Big 10 really gives them credit for. I mean, they've got a bunch of athletes and they're well coached. I mean, this is going to be a different kind of challenge for them. But I think I'm a big rivalry guy. Pitt's not playing. They played Penn State last week. I guess you could call it that. They showed up, and they don't play Penn State. Now they're off the schedule. They're not playing West Virginia. I would like to see everybody mandatory play 10 Power 5 teams. So if you're playing 9 conference games, like the Big Ten, that leaves you one game to pick up to play whoever. If you're like the Southeast Conference and you're going to play 8 conference games, you must pick up 3 Power 5 teams. And what that would do, like for Pitt in the ACC and even Penn State, they know they got to play a Power 5 team. So now it gives them a chance to say, you know what, let's play Pitt, or for Pitt, let's play West Virginia. And for the fans and the alumni and the rivalry, because we're going to have to play somebody in a Power 5 league. Well, right now it's not that way, so I kind of agree with Stan now. Why do it? What benefit is it?
Now, listen, week 1 in our show, Coach Wannstedt picked Alabama to be in the Final Four. Not that they were good, but because of their schedule.
Right.
That's why he picked them, and that's why
they have very few landmines.
Yes. Because now, look, as great as conference championships are, and we're all, we've been around a long time. We love the history and tradition. I agree with you, Coach, with the rivalry games. I think winning a conference championship is important. But what the playoff has done is it's kind of eroded that a little bit because, Ohio State is conference champion last year, and it seems like the season was a failure.
Right. I hear what you're saying. I agree. But, and I'm thinking back to the opening week. How about Michigan, Notre Dame? Now, I know Michigan, Ohio State is the game. We get that. But Notre Dame and Michigan has been a traditional rivalry game. That's good for college football. You answer this for me, because I'm sitting here thinking as we're talking, Stan, does Ohio State have somebody out of conference that would fall into that category? And let's say if they had to play 10 Power 5 teams. Who would be a rivalry outside of conference for Ohio State? I don't even know. I'm asking.
Well, they've had series in the past with Notre Dame, but they just do them for 2 years. They've done, they always play one. They just did the Oklahoma thing. They don't have one though. No. Real non-conference rival.
Yeah, they have done Oklahoma the last few years, right? That's kind of
we've done USC.
They got Texas coming up in the mid 2020s, but they don't have one consistent rival.
Yeah. No. But see, Coach, this is where I differ. That's where I differ with you about Michigan, Notre Dame. It was great for Notre Dame. It's horrible for Michigan. if Michigan opens up with a cupcake week 1 and they beat them by 50 and then do what they did last week, the discussion about Michigan is totally different. The pressure's off a little bit, and their first tough game will be Wisconsin. And so they can build up offensively, get better, but now they've sort of been exposed. You lose to Wisconsin, and this year is done.
Yeah. No, I hear you. If everybody was playing the same, then I would say, hey, let's – and you know what? If Michigan went out and they scheduled Kansas or somebody at the bottom of the heap, they're saying, hey, it's a Power 5 team. They're in the Big 12. Well, so be it. I mean, you'd hope that they would have room for rivalries and stuff, but who knows which way it would go. But at least there's that opportunity for athletic directors to say, you know what? Let's have a rivalry game,
Yeah, that'd be good. But Brett McMurphy, he just tweeted, Alabama just added 2020 home game, Tennessee Martin. I mean,
there you go.
That's what we're competing with.
There you go. Visiting with Coach Dave Wannstedt, Fox and Big Ten Network. And I want to shift gears to the NFL because another thing Stan and I have been discussing today are the penalties on the hits to the quarterback. Now, the NFL said the Myles Garrett play should not have been a penalty where he landed on Ben Roethlisberger. But the other ones, another one involving Ohio team Carlos Dunlap got flagged for one. They said that was a legitimate call on Andrew Luck for putting his full body weight on him. I understand player safety, but I also, Coach Wannstedt, I'm wondering what defensive linemen are supposed to do anymore. What are your feeling about this point of emphasis for the NFL right now?
Yeah, you know what? It's changed, Scott. We used to, I'm kind of embarrassed to tell you how when we used to go after quarterbacks, telling our guys how to take them to the ground, so it would be most painful, I mean, that was the reality, 25, 30 years ago on how you got a quarterback, and there were some teams that wouldn't go after the quarterback up high. All they were trying to do was take his knees out on a pressure, or a sack. So, I mean, all those things have changed for the good, and I'm saying it's all for the good. But, to me, the head, if the guy's getting hit in the head, fine. But if it's the other stuff, I think is and the officials are scared to death because, I mean, if an Aaron Rodgers gets knocked out of the game and he is not on national TV every week because of a late hit, someone's going to lose their job. The coach probably because he won't win any games. But, I mean, in addition to the coach, you know what I mean? I mean, the commissioner is going to come down on the officials, and so everybody's trying to be overly cautious. I get that. It's health, they'll tell you at the bottom of it, but it's also they need those star players, on national TV. If Aaron Rodgers isn't playing, he's out for the year, and the Packers are on, trust me, it's going to lose a little luster from a TV audience. It's just the reality of it. That's the way it is.
I want to ask you about the Browns and the Steelers finishing in a tie. How should Cleveland Browns, should they be encouraged because, hey, this is a team that's 1-31 the last 2 years. You played the Steelers and you got a tie. Or would you be frustrated, discouraged because you had a chance to win it at the end of the game with a field goal and you didn't get it done and Tyrod Taylor didn't look very good? What was your feeling about what you saw week 1 from the Browns?
Oh, you know what? I would have to – you got to give them credit because of the way the score ended up. I don't have a lot of confidence in the Browns, how things are being run there. That's just personal. But I would say, I would have to go back and evaluate how did they come up with those 5 turnovers, from the Steelers. And if it was really good play, I would say there's a lot to be encouraged with. If Ben, and I didn't see it, so I'm kind of asking. If Ben just threw him up for grabs, then then I don't know. But there was a little of both. There were
Myles Garrett was a monster. He played great and forced a fumble, but there were some just bad turnovers, and a lot of it, Coach, the weather was not good. It was pouring down rain the entire game. Had a lot to do with it. But defensively, they did some very good things without question.
They were good last year, and unfortunately, Kaiser at quarterback didn't give him much of a chance, so they've upgraded there. Tyrod Taylor, now he's gonna if the game's even, he'll probably have a tough time scoring a lot of points. To be honest with you, that's maybe where Mayfield gives you a little better chance, throwing the ball. but they're an improved team. I mean, there's no question about that. And the Steelers are a little bit, they've got some issues too that they're dealing with, and we all know what they are. So I don't know. I mean, I'd say give them some encouragement, but I wouldn't worry about the Steelers as much as Baltimore down the road. It's a long season.
So, Coach, if we jump back into college football real quick, I want to hear your thoughts about Ohio State and if there are any nuggets. I know you watch the national landscape. Any upsets this week?
Well, I mean, Ohio State, this game with TCU, you need to just pull out and look at the defensive numbers because everybody in the Big 12 conference, they score 45, 50 points a game. It's all, the Oklahoma States and the OUs and the Texas Techs. I mean, and Baylor in the past. But when you look at TCU's defense, about over the past 10 years, they've been first or second almost in every category defensively, mainly putting pressure on the passer and negative plays. So I think Ohio State will win the game, but I think they're going to have to play good, and I think they're going to, that Ryan Day's going to have to make some serious decisions for the first time. To be honest with you, I think he's done a fabulous job. In there for Urban Meyer, but this is going to be a game I think where there's going to be some of those fourth down decisions. So I like Ohio State to win the game, but I think it's going to be more of a ball game. You could catch a 100-degree temperature day down there very easily, in Fort Worth, Texas. So there's a lot that is going into this thing. It's Jerry's world. That can be a distraction. I mean, you go in, you got the scoreboards, you got the whole. You
like that stadium, Coach.
I love that.
Hey, real quick, we're on a hard break. Real quick, LSU Auburn.
You know what? I'm going to go with Auburn. Although LSU's got the athletes, I'm going to go with Auburn. I like Auburn.
That's going to be a big one. Hey, Coach, thanks so much for joining us. We'll be watching with Stan. And
see you tomorrow, Coach.
Hopefully he'll treat you well on BTN tomorrow night.
Oh, he's the star of the show.
Stan, let me know before we go on the set what we're talking about this week.
Very good. Very good.